I have asthma, I'm scared to get sick of these shelters. But I'm not sticking my hand in nobody's garbage for food. I'd rather ask y'all for help. I'm not out here robbing and stealing. I'm doing what I gotta do to survive right now, just like anybody else would. So if y'all can help out in any way possible,
I don't have no change. My name is Davin. I'm a vlogger on YouTube, and that's why I'm recording. Could you say what you said one more time about the homeless shelter system? I got over 100,000 followers. You can follow me too if you like.
The shelter system in New York City is overcrowded and overpopulated right now. And due to this coronavirus, I'm not trying to go in there because I don't want to get sick.
Exactly.
I'm 53 years old, I have ailments. People are so dirty because they don't wear masks, even some of the staff.
Wow.
The beds is right here, right next to each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's dirty, it's filthy. I've had to take my chances out here. That's why I carry my stuff. So I sleep here and there.
I've been hearing more and more times how dangerous it is in there. And not just from the coronavirus, but also from the freaking this violence and everything else that's plaguing New York.
Exactly.
I wish you luck.
But I'm in a situation where
yes,
I try to eat, and I come and ask and beg for food on the train.
You're not begging. You're asking for a hand.
What I gotta do.
You're asking for a hand. That's not begging. And don't you ever feel sorry about that.
Because I'm not trying to do no crime. I'm not trying to do nothing stupid.
That's right.
So this is what I gotta do. If the people don't help me and feed me, I don't eat.
I hear you. I only got a card on me, but I will tell you this, sir. Follow me. My name is Davin Lewis, DAVINLEWIS. You'll find me on YouTube. You understand exactly what I'm saying. I speak about stuff like this all the time. And I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything else. And you trust me. If you find my channel, I put that video up with the intent of not embarrassing that man, but letting that man know there's people that actually give a damn about him and care about him out here. It's a goddamn shame. We got black men like that. You see it with your own first hand now. You got brothers like that, both black and Latino, out here sleeping on the trains and everything else. And so all these so-called people or the culture, for some reason or another, just innately don't want to help them. So I don't want anybody to think that I recorded that gentleman because I was trying to embarrass him or anything like that, because clearly I wasn't. But I was trying to show you guys this one thing that sticks apart from everything, which there is a lot of black and Latino men on the streets, sleeping on the train. Their age ranges vary. They could be anywhere from 15 years old to, like you heard that gentleman say, he was 54. So guys, when you see this, just make sure that you know it wasn't to embarrass that gentleman. That's why I approached that gentleman like that, to let him know. And as you saw, he was easy to comply because he needed to get his story out. So for all my followers and everybody, make sure that video also gets 800,000 views. Not just the stuff that's the salacious stuff, but stuff that actually matters. There's a problem in the tri-state. It exists not only in Connecticut, it also exists in New York, it also exists in Jersey. And that problem is the homelessness with men of color here in New York City. And for some reason or another, I don't know why, but people don't pay attention to it. Now, I know you guys hear me on there, and I talk about a little bit of everything. I talk about the music industry, how I kind of hit or miss whether I miss it or not. But one of the things I want to tell you is this is a problem that the music industry could actually cure. Pump is worth $845 million. It's only a few dollars short of being a billionaire. Jay-Z's already a billionaire. Dr. Dre's a billionaire. We've got many billionaires within the culture now that either made their money either through sports, music, or numerous other things. And along with those people, you have a lot of people that like to ride the coattails of these hip-hop artists that are, I don't know, success, if you want to use that word and that terminology. And instead of giving them credit, they'll just ride the coattail just to get $1 in their pocket. You know, they don't give anything back. They don't try to help out any way philanthropic-wise. And it is basically feeding bottom feeders off of our culture. There are black men and Spanish men and white men roaming all throughout the city, just like you saw that gentleman right there. And as you heard his words very correctly, he said, I would prefer not to go there because there are people, including the staff, that are not wearing masks, they're not taking precautions, that are not enabling these men to move along because Evidently, from my research and calling different agencies myself just to get the scoop on things in all 3 states, I found with Lamont, which led Lamont in the state of Connecticut, have no guarantee for housing. If you come down here to New York City with Mayor de Blasio, even before I left 7 weeks ago to come back to Connecticut, it was still the same issue. De Blasio has no plans for these people. I know he's rolled on that. I know he's told you guys that. I know he's told you guys that. But evidently, there's a problem when you can't fix the fiscal budget for the year because you have to give everybody a furlough. Now, many of you guys don't understand what a furlough is. That's basically when state employees take a day off to hopefully consume and catch and save money that once would have been evidence expenditures. They're not there. Now, coronavirus had a lot to do with it. As I tell a lot of people in Connecticut, people are leaving New York not because of the coronavirus. The coronavirus numbers have been down for months. In most cases, they're at the lowest they've been in months. It's not that. People are leaving New York City because there's no business here anymore. And a lot of the business it is. Now, I'm not talking about the blue-collar sector with the restaurants and, Starbucks and everything like that. I'm not talking about those jobs. I'm talking about the jobs that were more in the sector where I was, working in Midtown Manhattan, 1540 Broadway, the office jobs. Most of these offices, as I took you up to Viacom, most of these offices are empty. They're completely empty. And you might have 4 or 5 people coming in there working, but for the majority of the day, there's nothing but maybe 6 or 7 attendees there that are usually doormen or security or cleaning crew. They're lower tier of workers, but still, worthy of their callers. This is why people are leaving New York and Connecticut. This is why you see the influx and tick of New York City residents moving there. Now, I just read recently, and this is a Newsweek, that more people in the tri-state have left and come to Connecticut prior to COVID-19 than ever before. When prior to that, in Connecticut, we lost over 435,000 residents in 1 year. And they were leaving because of the same thing that I present to you here, which the businesses are closing down. We had Ponds, we had Hewlett-Packard, they're gone. We have numerous other companies that are talking about pulling out. We had Pfizer's pull out 10 years to the day that they were tax exempt. It just makes me upset that all this money has been floating around prior to COVID-19, and now they don't have the funds to allocate certain agencies and things like that. So I'm glad that you guys heard someone firsthand from their own experience tell what it was. And if I ever see that man again, which I probably will because I always ride this line, when I see that man again, I'm going to make sure to give him something out of my pocket to help him along his way. But I want to say this to a lot of Black and Latina women. We're at a call for action right now. A lot of Black and Latina women get online and they brag about how much money they're making, how well their life is, halfway naked or everything like that. But how many of you actually have stopped in your tracks doing your daily commute in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut and asked one of your brothers, Black or Latino, hey, you need any help? Hey, you need a job? Hey, you need something to eat? Hey, there used to be a time in this city people did that. And my advice to you is, I think you need to go back to it. Because what you're going to see is you're going to see a surge even more deeper come this winter. The holidays are coming up. We got November right here for Thanksgiving. We've got next month for Christmas. There's no stimulus check coming until after the holidays. I want to make that very clear. Nancy Pelosi held up the stimulus negotiations for 5 months. Mitch McConnell as well. And now we're at a standstill with that little $1,200 check, which I don't know what that would do at this point, because it's only $1,200 after 5 months of deliberating. But that little $1,200 should be extended to maybe $2,000, $3,000 now. And depending on who wins the election, which either way, I don't care. But whoever wins the election, if we have a re-election of a president and he's going for his second term, maybe something might be get hands fifth and get done a little bit better. And I tried to express that yesterday when I did my live from Trump Tower. That's why I went there. And as you can see, all those guys up there, they know me. I lived right there on Fifth Avenue for quite a long while. So they're more than familiar with me. And I'm glad I expressed that in the video, and you can see for yourself as those guys were interacting with me and joking with me. When somebody else, one of my viewers said, I bet you won't go up to Trump Tower and do that. I'm like, I've been going to Trump Tower for a while, buddy. So let's stop the pretending and let's start getting real and honest.
And the real and honesty is that black people and Latino women specifically, we're going to have to deduct our own stimulus checks. And then whether that means donating to someone, helping someone out that you see on the train that's sleeping, helping someone out that you can obviously see hasn't eaten, helping someone out that obviously doesn't want to go to any of these facilities as far as concerned with a homeless shelter or anything like that, that's why you see those men sleeping on the train. And a lot of those men are victims of Bloomberg's policies when he left office, when he lifted rent stabilization, which is one of the worst things he ever did. He waited to the day or maybe 2 days before he left his constituency to do so. And him and the governor, Governor Cuomo, made sure they made it possible. This gave the uptick of the past 5 or 6 or 7 years that you have where you see a spike in homelessness. So I found it insulting when Mike Bloomberg actually put in his bid for president. I find it insulting when Mayor de Blasio has for the past 5 years, after all these plans that have never come to fruition. There are actually buildings that were supposed to be converted, not built, but converted. That means they were supposed to be just refurbed, put on the block, and these places were supposed to be filled. And there was money allocated to them, not only from local government, but from the state. They weren't included. This housing lottery thing, I've seen people come up on that maybe, I don't know, twice every 3 months. And it's a very few people that I can see from my investigations. If you need to, you can go to newyork.gov and they'll actually give you information about how many of those apartments that were supposed to be allocated. I believe it was at a 10 or 15% rate for most, and then depending on the size of your unit, 30% rate at the max. It's supposed to be allocated to these people in these homeless shelters and things like that or whatever. So we need to put a little bit more emphasis on that and see where it's going. And it's not just women suffering. What I'm seeing is, once again, and I'll say once again, very boldly, I'm seeing black and Latino and white men. Yes, white men. White men that are not like the white men that a lot of white men pretend to be. That they're astute, they're put together, and whatever. I live around a ton of those people out in Connecticut, and trust me, they are way more opulent than most of the New Yorkers you have down here that are white. So a lot of New Yorkers down here in New York that are white, they like to pretend like they have something together. They like to pretend that they're not, but you're not fucking fooling me. And I take you right across that water where I'm at, where you guys see me do most of my lives all the time. And you see the boats, you see the jet skis, you see where I used to live, walking right across the street and going to the 6 miles off a beach. Well, you'll see the difference then. So I would say to a lot of white men to think that they're, I don't know, separated from this. You're not. In fact, if I go to Times Square right now, I could probably point out at least 12 of them. Sitting up against the buildings, smoking cigarettes, smoking crack, or whatever the case may be. So we're not going to exempt white men from it. No. We want to put them in the pool with the rest of them. See, right now is your time, white man. And we're seeing the same people that gentrified these neighborhoods are now becoming the same people that are getting gentrified themselves. And whether it's the memorandum that is now being slowly probably going to be lifted probably in another month here. I'm hoping it hasn't happened during the holiday season for a lot of people. But a lot of people are going to see their truths, the lies they've been living, the financial lies specifically, of saying that they're opulent and they've got it together. But what happens now when you come in front of eviction court and you see the same signs and the signals that blacks and Latinos have been going through for a long time? Guys, the links are down at the bottom. Make sure you donate, make sure you pay attention, and make sure to share this and like as always. If you're a new subscriber or a new viewer, thank you for joining. And all the videos I put up a lot of stuff. Everybody knows me with Jaguar, right, and Diddy stuff and all that crap or whatever. And that's one of my points of interest too. But one of my biggest points of interest is one of the things that I've been seeing for a long, long time that's been going on here in New York City, where for some reason or another, black men and Latin men, unless you're a tap shoe dancer. And I think that's one of the things that kept me in the business for the longest time. I was never a tap dancer. I did what I wanted to do. I moved how I wanted to move. And people respected me for it. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to have that same personality, but I know the rich are the richest and the poor of the poorest. And I'm trying to tell you, one of the equal problems we have right now that I'm seeing, and I'm seeing growing month by month, day by day. Last time it was bad when I came down here, and now I'm seeing it's getting worse. is the homelessness is being exerted by black men and Spanish men and white men specifically. I don't see that many women on the street. I see some women on the streets, but I don't see that many women on the streets as much as I see men. And it's alarming and it's scary. And a lot of it has to do with the failing job market. There's a lot of hotels here that are closed. They employed a lot of people. There are a lot of restaurants here that are closed. They employed a lot of people. There are a lot of mom and pop stores that, I'm not going to snitch on anybody, but they hire people under the table. There's no availability for them anymore. So I guess it comes down to a question of either you can help or you can sit around and submerge yourself in the world that you're attributing to and creating by your ignoring. I think that's a better word. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Later.